Welcome everybody to another beautiful day and another webinar on Portal to Ascension. Thank you so much for being with us right now. And hello to everybody who's gonna be watching the replay. We appreciate your presence. And today we have a great event. It's gonna be really informative and hopefully provide everybody with the tools that they need in order to empower themselves in their life. And the presenter that we're bringing back today is Lori Spagna. And if you guys have attended any of her past events with us, you know that she is a wealth of knowledge and goes over a plethora of information from extraterrestrials to communication with animals to DNA activation to what we're going to be doing today, which would be energy of money and spiritual laws of abundance and prosperity. And just a little bit about Lori before we bring her on. She's a best-selling author, spiritual teacher in Iran. She's a best-selling author, channel, animal communicator, visionary, lightworker, and starseed who has radically transformed her life after a series of near-death experiences and an induction experience while living in Maui. She has also helped to transform the lives of thousands of humans and animals around the world via her channeled ascension guidance, intuition, energy healing, and animal communication. She leads seminars, workshops, retreats, where she provides ascension training, sacred energy healing transmissions, and dormant DNA and sacred key code activations for humans and animals, and also assists others to awaken to their alignment with the true divine source which exists within everyone so that all beings can live their best life ever. And just to add to that bio, when I was first looking for, I don't even know how I stumbled onto Lori's information, but it was through some YouTube videos, and I saw her communicating, like doing some animal psychic stuff, and just the realness and the groundedness that she brings to this energy of consciousness and spirituality and ascension is very much refreshing. She makes me feel that this is real, you know, and that's why I really appreciate her, and I'm really glad to have her on here today. So we're gonna let her take it away. Hey, Lori.
Hi, Neil. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. I'm really grateful to be here and looking forward to our time together. So first, I just want to acknowledge Neil, and I want to say a huge part of why I want to do this is because our tribe, our Lightworker Star Seed family tribe, the Indigo family races, we carry the contracts for the collective of resolving the money issues, because we have already, as a collective, as a group, a subgroup of humanity, we have already learned within us that money is not the solution, that money is not what is our true divinity, that money and wealth is not our happiness, it's not our joy. So the thing is, we at the same time, because we carry the contracts as a subgroup for the collective to resolve these issues, we often are faced with our own issues of poverty and lack, and we're so aligned with service that we often forget, oh, we do actually need money in this reality. And so we're being of service, and we do it for the joy and the love of service, and we sometimes do that to our detriment. And so I just wanted to contribute back to Neil and to Saul and to this whole community in a way that would allow me to be of service and help in this area, because it's not like I'm a mansion millionaire or anything. It's more that I understand the spiritual alignment and attunement to these issues. And as a healer and someone who works with the non-physical realm, as we shift our consciousness, we heal the collective. So that's my reason for being here. I just really wanted to serve. I know that Neil and Saul and the whole Portal to Ascension community is just doing such great service. And I've been a beneficiary of that service just through my involvement, like at Portal to Ascension. I just love that whole environment, the community. I loved the last live event in San Diego or Orange County. And I mean, this is just my way of giving back, right?
Yeah,
so
let me add to that and clarify for everybody that Lori is actually doing this as a fundraiser basically for us, where she's contributing her energy, her time, and all the income that is coming in for this event to Portal to Ascension so we can continue operations. You know, we haven't really told too many people, but the last conference didn't do as well as we'd hoped, right? And I spoke to you about it, and in exchange, you said, well, I would like to do this event for you in order to assist you guys in continuing your work. And I'm so grateful just for you stepping up and then even saying that and taking the initiative. It's just like speechless, you know? Love you.
Oh, thanks. Well, I really love doing this work so much. It's my joy. And so that's the thing, is that that's what's, first of all, we in our community already really understand, like, being of service comes first. And that's what Portal to Ascension's been doing. And I just feel like this is just another opportunity to be of service to us, because, again, just to summarize that part and then move forward, is like, our subgroup of humanity, light workers and star seeds, we're carrying certain contracts to resolve the money and wealth issues for humanity. And so as such, we've taken on, some of us have taken on stuff like vows of poverty, or I'll be of service no matter what. And we've had a lot of, as a group, you know, we've had a lot of lifetimes as nuns and priests and living in monasteries and monks. And we've done all this kind of stuff, a lot of us, or else we've lived on other planets where we really just didn't need money. We weren't using it for that form of exchange. And so it's uncomfortable for us, or we're off with it, or we have our own forms of beliefs like, well, if I have to have money, I don't want to be a slave, or I don't want to be free. I mean, I'd rather be free than have money. We don't mean to, like, sabotage ourselves that way. We don't mean to do that to ourselves. It's just part of our scripts that we're working with to resolve these issues for the collective. So anyway, I hope that makes sense of what the foundation of this is and why we're doing this going forward, in a sense. And we know, you know, we have about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours most. We can't necessarily resolve everything, but everything that we do always supports us, always, especially when we're working with the divine. So let's all, with that, just set a collective group intention for everyone participating live and in the replay, that everyone receives the maximum benefits, which serve, support, and assist us in the highest and best and most benevolent ways with harm to none, right? If we're united on that intention for our time together, we're in good shape right from the get-go. And as we are unanimously agreed, the universe always aligns with us, because there's agreement and alignment with that. So during the time we have, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking. I actually want to do the bulk of what we're doing today. I want us to go into an energy kind of healing. And when we start working with our unconscious and our programs and our beliefs and our belief systems, that's when we get to clear, right, our own unconscious stuff that's, you know, maybe interfering with, or in any way diluting, or we could use the word blocking us, perceived blocks from our prosperity and our abundance. So that's what we're going to spend at least 45 minutes doing that. But I just want to lay a little bit of groundwork before we get into that, because that's where we're going to get the juicy, rich transformation, energy healing and transformation of our consciousness. But let's just lay a few basics for people to understand. So at the root cause of all issues related to lack, limitation, I mean, that's what we're resolving here. Abundance, prosperity, whatever range of the pendulum, the root issues are linked in, it's not truly linked into this, but the way we function in our reality, or misfunction, it's linked into our sense of self-worth, self-value, self-appreciation, and worthiness and deservability. And that's one major link there. Every way we perceive ourselves, because the truth is we are unlimited worth and value. But if we don't perceive ourselves that way, consciously and unconsciously, we will create blocks. So that's the first one. The second one, it's directly linked in to our connection with source. And source, divinity, the divine, infinite love, creator, God, however we identify. So we're the ones clearing that for humanity as light workers and star seeds and indigo tribe members. So this is a major factor for us, because we're clearing that for humanity, because humanity has been functioning from so much separation, right? From so much separateness from the source. And so that's a major link, because source is the supply. And we'll get into this. And then the third area, it's linked directly to our generosity of spirit, our willingness to share, give, receive, and exchange all forms of energy, money, gold, silver, jewels, whatever. That is just one form of energetic exchange, right? So These are the three core fundamental issues that need, for everything that I know from my alignment with source, my downloads on this, my own personal healing journey and transformation, is that these are the three core foundational issues that have to be addressed to resolve this. So same again, our sense of self-worth, self-value, self-deservability, etc. Our connection with the divine and our alignment with the divine and our recognition of the divine as our source. And then our willingness to be generous and generously exchange and receive and give and share and flow in all forms of energy. So we can even see, if we just break these three apart a little bit, I'm going to go in reverse. We could see with the third one, our willingness to be generous and give and receive. As light workers, we tend to be extremely generous in the service area. I want to serve, I want to contribute. And we tend to be, in general, a little less good at the receivership. That just tends to be. But we have to bring that into balance, right? And if we're working on bringing that into balance in our life, we know that we're, as the keepers of the contracts generally, maybe that's not entirely the right way to say it, but of this, resolving this issue for the collective, we're the ones who need to bring that largely into more balance, giving and receiving. And it is true to say that at the root of abundance and prosperity, real wealth and abundance, is generosity. We must be incredibly generous, not just with our giving, but also with our receiving, generous with ourselves in a way that feels good and right for all concerned. So it can't be like, oh, I'm going to be generous with myself, take, and someone else feels bad. It's like if you're intending or asking for things for free that are not meant to be free, that are not meant to be, that are not given freely, then that's an imbalance, right? So if it's offered, like this was freely offered as service by me, that feels good to me, feels good and right to be supportive of my community and my tribe and those I love who have been good to me. So this is freely offered in that sense, then freely received. Awesome. But if it's not freely offered, this is the exchange. We have to really start to understand this generosity. We have to be just equally generous in our giving and our receiving in ways that feel good and right to all concerned. So that's the third item of the three. I'm kind of working in reverse from here. Very, very important to get this on a fundamental level, that we must be generous even with our money, our wealth, all forms of it. So for example, if you're not actively engaging in tithing, I tithe 10% or more. So a tithe means 10%. This is part of that. You want to tithe 10% of what you receive in terms of money, and you don't have to be analytically perfect about it, but you have to have that kind of flowing. Tithing is a giving to the divine, a recognition of the divine as your source, giving back. And by the way, I'll say something about tithing, which is that tithing, the reason taxes, income taxes, which are illegal, as we know, most of us know that income taxes are illegal, and that now this is an offshoot, but we can talk about this a little bit more, but I don't want to take too much time on it. But sales taxes, luxury taxes, those are not illegal, but income taxes are actually illegal, but they were set up by a governing system that at its roots, at its origin, was designed to teach people how important it is to give back. So when Julius Caesar, maybe it wasn't him, but previous, whenever it was originally set up in linear time, at some concept, the contract was help people to learn how important it is to give back to society by requiring them to give. But it's, anyway, well, corruption, whatever, greed, there's a long storyline about all that we don't need to go into, but the point is as we start to resolve this giving with joy in our hearts and generosity and the recognition that it comes from source and goes back to source, this issue starts to get resolved. Right, I hope that makes sense. That's kind of like the third category, right? Where it was veracity, giving, flowing, receiving, and exchange in ways that feel good and right and are freely offered. Not trying to get stuff for free that's not for free. Not trying to talk people. Not trying to prices. That is a recipe for poverty. To try to get everything for free. To try to extract things cheaper than they are, like this bargaining and negotiating stuff. That is all poverty mentality, lack mentality, and not aligned with those higher frequencies of flow, giving, receiving, exchanging in ways that feel good and right for all, with harm to none. So even when you're doing trades, which a lot of people do in our spiritual community, somebody just must have thought of that because it came into my brain. A trade has to feel good and right to everybody, and not based on an energetic frequency of, I don't have enough, so can I just trade with you? Because that's lack mentality. I'm not saying it's bad to trade. I'm saying let it be feeling good and right to everybody, and not from this place of, I don't have enoughness. Okay, that's number 3. I did it in a reverse. Number 2 was understanding that source is your provider. This is so, so, so important. We are programmed, conditioned, and wired in our society to believe and buy into this idea that your money comes from the government, Medicare, healthcare, your boss, your 401k, your IRS, your stocks, your inheritance. And this is just really bad programming for us now as we're going through this ascension process, because that is an old paradigm of belief systems, and it's not fundamentally true. Fundamentally true. What's fundamentally true is that through our connection with source, the divine, and through our recognition that this divine source is infinitely abundant, has infinite resource, infinite wealth, infinite access to infinite potential and possibility, infinite supply, this infinite field of consciousness can pull from, align with, bring together, synchronize, infinite for you. And through your alignment with that, our alignment with that infinite potential, that infinite source, that infinite prosperity, as we are in alignment with that, which requires us to clear away our unconscious and all those old programs of the 3D, that our money comes from other things, other places outside of us, other people, etc. And as we demonstrate that in our lives and attune to that higher truth, that higher knowing, that source will always provide, and source is my provider, and source has infinite supply to provide to me, and I am supported by this source. Like, all of these knowings, all of these truths have to be really integrated into our consciousness. And this old aspect of it comes from someone or somewhere else has to be cleared and resolved, right? So that we're no longer carrying that in our beliefs and our belief systems. And we're not sitting there waiting for someone to win the lottery. It's not that you can't win the lottery, because source could give it to you that way. It's that you're not hanging your wealth on your lottery or your 401k or your IRS or whatever else is out there in that old paradigm. It's more like, okay, source, you are my supply. Now I will require, desire X amount of money or X amount of currency of some form or another in order to pay for the fair energy exchange required for XYZ adventure, item, thing, experience, etc., class, workshop. Therefore, source, as you are my provider, I choose this. I desire this. I intend this. We start claiming our power as that divine source that has the ability to work with the field and this divinity, this infinite love and light and consciousness, to create it for ourselves and to have it and to call it in and then to express it outwardly, right? So we're learning all of this. We're learning this in our reality, and we are evolving and up-leveling into it through our ascension process. But again, just for the purposes of understanding these core fundamental issues, this is number 2. As we integrate this into us, and as we really work through clearing our unconscious from that old stuff, this becomes who we are. This becomes how we operate. And this becomes our new way of being. And so we start tapping into and aligning with and receiving and that limitless supply within and through us. And we start sharing it, right? And exchanging and receiving. That's number 3 we referred to. So, okay, I think that makes sense. Now, the tithing, to go back to tithing is a recognition that source is your supply. So essentially, whenever you tithe, it's a tithe is not a donation. A donation can be a tithe, but a tithe is a gift to God, saying, God, I know as I circulate it, whatever I have to tithe, which in this case, we're talking money or some form of material currency, as I circulate it out in the field, it circulates around the field and it is available to be of service to others and to the greater good of all, or to whatever I believe in and support that I want more of in my world. And as it does, divine source, you are my supply, and you will return it to me in equal or greater force. This is the idea of a tithe. And this is also right in alignment with number 2, what we're talking about, that source is my supply. And the amazing thing is that I want to add to this part that's so important to understand is that there are laws of the universe, which if you know me and you know my work, I teach about the laws and I work with the laws directly. And in our healing work, we're always working with the laws because they kind of tell us what's allowed and what's not allowed, because they exist on a 6th dimensional frequency, 6th dimensional bandwidth. And they are laws of the universe. And by the way, quantum physics will validate these, even if they use slightly different words. I use them from more of a spiritual perspective. But the reason I'm bringing them up here is that just for the basics of money, if you understand these laws, tithing is not a very scary thing at all, because here's how the law works. The laws. Number 1, with respect to money and tithing, okay? Because there's lots of laws. We don't have time to go into it. That's a whole course of its own. I just want to give you these basic laws, how they relate to tithing, money, and wealth and abundance. Number 1, law of radiation. I radiate out. Everything that radiates from me radiates out from me. So let's take money as an example, or a dollar or gold or silver or some form of currency. I radiate out and I give a gift, a tithe, which is tithe means 10% to that which I love most and support most in the universe, where the divine represents itself to me, where the divine reveals itself to me. So if somebody does something great for me in my life, they've given me a gift, or they've just brought joy to my life or love to my life, or some form of consciousness or service or happiness or peace or something where I know the divine has worked through them, I tithe. Now, that's what a tithe is. You can do it to anyone, anywhere. You can give it to Mother Earth. You can, a million things. Okay, untold numbers of things. I tithe it out in recognition. I radiate it out. Law of radiation. That is a law. Now there's another law of circulation. It's a universal law. Universal law means it's law whether we know it or not. So universal law of circulation then takes that tithe and circulates it in the field and uses it. Now, law of amplification comes in. Law of amplification goes, it's a tithe. It's a gift. Let's amplify the greatness of this gift. Now, law of attraction comes in. Let's attract it back. These are laws of the universe. So if I give $1 out, just play with this, you guys. Enjoy, joyful, not like, oh, and I joyfully give it out. These laws of the universe, especially when I do it with consciousness, Creator God of all that is, I am now giving this out to the universe in joy, joyful circulation. Law of circulation, circulate it. Law of radiation, I'm radiating it out. The laws, no. But when you do it consciously, law of amplification, amplify it. Amplify the joy and the greatness of this gift. Law of circulation, circulate it joyfully. Law of attraction, attract it back to me. I attract it back to me with equal or greater force. And it always will, because law of amplification is doing that. So that's why you want to give it out joyfully. Okay, this is your connection with the divine. This is all part of step number 2, the second piece. And this is how the laws interact with that. By the way, there's law of one. Law of one. I'm giving it out, but I am all there is. I am aligned with all there is. The divine is all there is. I am one. I am one with all there is. So therefore, I give to myself. Right? We have to still play in the game of separation. I am not exactly you. You are not exactly me. We are fractals. We are aspects of that source. But nonetheless, from a place of oneness, if you understand these laws, they are laws. If you understand universal laws, laws don't get broken on universal laws. Fake laws, government laws, they can get broken. I'm not saying to break them. I'm just saying, okay, it's possible to break those. It's not possible to break a universal law. It's universally true. So if you understand this and you start playing with this, and you can practice in small amounts if you want at first, just to learn, just to watch how it works. Amazing, right? And it's what's so amazing is that if you really are playing with it for the purpose of learning, and your own higher self, your divinity of you, wants your human egoic person to really realize and learn this, when you play the game, you will see it with so much clarity. It's like the money you give out. If you're doing it from a place of joy, going to come back to you very quickly in greater than, equal to or greater than, because that's the law of amplification. Okay, I hope that, by the way, there's a law of synchronicity that plays in this. It synchronizes. So it's going to synchronize things that match that frequency at which you gave it out. So if you give it out in joy and excitement and love and gratitude, it's going to match that frequency. That's the law, part of the law of synchronicity. Also, by the way, another law of cause and effect, universal law. What is the effect of giving? The effect of giving. If giving, tithing is the cause, which it is, receiving then is the effect coming back to you. Law of cause and effect. So these are laws, and they're part of understanding the divine as your source and supply. So, okay. I hope that helps with number 2. Now, number 1 is the part that we're going to be working on today, largely through our energy healing, although the other parts will come in too. So we understand that our sense of self-worth and self-value, that's the first one I mentioned, is, by the way, we just moved energy. I can always tell when the group has just cleared some energy. That's awesome, because a big clump of energy comes up and I just have to move it out, and it just happened, right? I don't always have to do this to do it. I just know we just shifted density. So people on this call have already benefited. That makes me very happy. Okay, good. So number 1, sense of self-worth and self-value. This is perhaps, in a way, the most challenging of the 3. And that's because our belief systems and our unconscious mind is very wired and knotted up on this particular kind of issue, these issues. So, for example, we've had a religion through lifetimes, and religion has indoctrinated people into, like, if you're a bad person, you're a sinner, you go to purgatory, you might go to hell. I mean, all that stuff is just like belief systems, right? But it's more than just belief systems, because it gets energetically wired. And then if that's linked somehow to money is bad, money is evil, money's at the root of all evil, and you want to be a good person, you know, anyone who's ever done any unconscious belief work, this should make total sense to you. You know, that stuff will entangle you and get knotted up in your unconscious and interfere and mentally block you in certain ways. Also, if you were alive, or your ancestors were alive during the Great Depression, or if you were in a body, a mommy's body, or even a baby, you were imprinted during that time of the Great Depression, which many of us were, I was. That's considered to be a cellular trauma, because if people couldn't eat, or people couldn't feed themselves, people were starving, and there were food lines. You had this also, of course, during World War I and World War II. So if your ancestors were alive during those times where there was massive amounts of not enoughness, that gets imprinted into the cellular memory as a trauma. And then we carry that with us for generations. And if you've ever worked with me on the work I do with DNA, it gets imprinted into the DNA as lack, limitation. I don't have enough. How am I going to survive? Then it gets entangled in basic survival issues. I can't survive. I don't have enough. we then might use as a coping mechanism somewhere. Well, I've got to hold back. I had to block my own self from the flow because I have to indoctrinate it into that. And of course, even in our lifetime, if you had, if you're of a family, let me go back to sorry, source is telling me to say something. I've got it. Which one first? So if you say in our lifetime, during 2008, we relived some of that Great Depression, where those traumas were being worked out when we had our financial collapse. And now there's a lot of talk about how we have a financial collapse coming again, and that may or may not be true. It depends on how much humanity can resolve these issues that we're unresolved on, because things play out over and over again until we resolve them. So this is part of also why I wanted to do this, because I know there's a lot of talk about this impending financial challenge in the next year, and that's not written in absolute stone. It is written that we have to resolve these issues, right? But they get imprinted in our DNA, and they get imprinted in our cellular memory, and then we play them out. So these issues have to be resolved. Now, the other thing that source was reminding me of, and maybe it was in the field of the group here, someone might have been thinking of it, but it definitely came in, like, address this too. If you're a Holocaust survivor, or if your family lineage was a Holocaust survivor, or anywhere where there was genocide, or, I mean, these are issues that our ancestors went through, and we are the direct lineages of them. And those are linked into extreme issues, traumas related to worth and value of your very being. So if a grandparent or a family member, an ancestor, survived a type of a Holocaust or a genocide type of situation, that would be imprinted, and that would really affect your sense of self-worth and self-value in this lifetime. And if it's on the side of like lack, not enoughness, and there's not enough, that's going to imprint and it's going to reveal itself. Now, we could also go back further in time too, to times where, of course, ancient times of where humans, had massive amounts of suffering and just didn't have enough, tribal times, and times of, times of where there was like kings and queens, which we still have that. I mean, look at the Queen of England is a good example. She actually owns, she has, okay, I don't want to go down this line too much, but there's just all the wealth. We know this already. The wealth of the world is held mostly by a very few. We call them the global elites. And so that's not really because we don't have entitlement to it or rightness or greatness. It's that it's wired into us, that all kinds of these kinds of belief systems that are linked into our sense of self-worth and self-value. And there's another hook in there that's really important to address, and that is what is possible. Because, yeah, most of us are not kings and queens or global elites or among those. And if you're on this call, chances are you're not, right? So that really is playing with us on an unconscious way, on a very energetic, real way, in a very real way that entangles us. What's possible? Like, we're just, everyday people. What's really possible? Like, I mean, there's not a lot of Tony Robbins in the world, actually, if you think about it that way. And so we start to believe things that aren't possible for us. That's also linked into that whole theme of worthiness and deservability, because in truth, everything is possible for us, but not if we don't believe it, and not if we don't perceive it, and not if we're blocking our alignment with source, and not if we're out of alignment with our flow of generosity and giving and receiving. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. These are the three key areas, the three main key areas that, in terms of what I am aware and all the downloads and learning and processing I've done on this topic area, these need to come into resolution. And what I call alignment with source, alignment with higher consciousness. That's the part of what healing does. And when I use the word healing, wow, we just shifted some more good energy. That's good. We shifted some more for the group. When I use the word healing, what I mean, when I say we shifted more for the group, we didn't, just the talking alone is moving consciousness on this, which is good. Bringing up density, moving it out. That's good. But when I talk about healing, and that's the part we're going to go into here, and I'm asking, we may want to do a few questions before that, because after we get a little woozy. But the healing is where we go into a meditation and we align ourselves with what I call the sacred neutral. We come into a kind of neutrality where we're at peace, and we let and allow the divine source to bring us back into alignment with that source. And sometimes we have to be very specific. Most times I find we have to be very specific, because if we just set up some kind of vortex and we just try to throw stuff in there that we don't really like, sometimes it's a form of spiritual bypassing. And it's very important to understand that we have these things for a reason. We came here to resolve them for our ancestors, and especially for those of us in the Indigo family tribes, which we all are. We're here, we're in that family group. We came here to, as we said, resolve them in many ways for the collective. So just throwing them in, like, I don't want to deal with this, put it in a vortex, I don't want to deal with this, throw it in a circle, give it to God. That alone, in my opinion, it can help, but it's typically very short term or not permanent, or it's only so much we can do with that. Because what we're really meant to do is claim gifts of consciousness. So the healing part is where we go into a meditation, we give away that which is keeping us in separateness, and then we download and activate and awaken that which brings us into greater alignment with this divine source. And that's what we'll be doing during our healing portion. So, okay, I hope this makes sense, and I hope this has set the stage, the groundwork, and provided some great clarity, hopefully, for you. So I'm thinking that maybe now would be a good time, because once we do the healing part, you're just going to get in a very woozy, we'll do a healing, and then we'll complete after that, maybe just a little bit of final wrap up. But I can do some Q&A. Actually, I don't see any Q&A. I see a lot of participants, and I love the chat part. I can't really read it all. But I was thinking, I do see a question from Karen at the very bottom. I can read this. And she says, sound healers address issues regarding self-worth, self-value, fears surrounding scarcity, removing clutter, etc. These are helpful, correct? I want to say, I think everything's helpful. Even, unfortunately, when it's harmful or detrimental, it's ultimately helpful. I'm not saying that sound healers are harmful or detrimental. I'm saying that I believe everything ultimately is helping us on our journey. The question is it helpful in a way that's benevolent and enjoyable for you and really, truly giving you the maximum benefits? Or is it helpful? Sometimes some things like sound healing, if they're playing singing bowls, I think that's beautiful and always helpful and vibrationally attuning. But if you have consciousness belief systems that are actually interfering with your consciousness, that's part of your mental construct and part of your alignment with the divine, part of your higher knowing. So sometimes that alone, I don't think that alone is enough, but I think everything's helpful. Sound healers, beautiful. I love crystal bowls. Energy workers of every kind, it's always helpful. So I'm not here to say things aren't helpful. I'm just here to say some things aren't exactly what we need. And sometimes when we go to certain kinds of healers and we don't get the results that we want or need, we walk away sometimes thinking, oh, I've tried it all. I tried so hard. It didn't work. And it's not that it didn't work. It's just that it's not exactly what we needed or what addressed it directly. So sometimes crystal bowls or drumming bowls or dancing ceremonies, they're addressing it to a certain degree, but maybe not exactly or precisely what you need. And in some cases, they're not directly addressing what you need. That's why the work that I do that I love so much is we get very, very conscious, very, very clear. Source, this belief system right here is no longer serving me. Source, is there any other belief systems that are not helpful? And it's not just belief systems. Sometimes it's programs running in the unconscious. Sometimes it's implants. We might have gotten alien implants or false implants, or we might have gotten implanted in some other lifetime or some in between state or some astral realm, right? I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff that can happen to us in the eternity of our existence. and this is the reality of time and space where we came to resolve this stuff. So that's what we're doing here. Helpful, Karen. I'm not discrediting things. I'm just making clear that not everything works for everything. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Okay, and Glenn's asking, this sounds great, but when a person is buried in medical bills due to the issues of the physical realm, it's not the most joyful part to give money to anyone beyond what pays the bills. Okay, I'm going to say something. I get that. So Glenn, what I want to say about this is I'm just seeing wherever I see questions, and I happen to see that one, but you guys can put questions in there if you want to. And then we'll do the meditation healing part. Let me say that humans, we typically learn in 4 key ways. And the bulk of humans, one of those ways isn't really the 4th way because they're in so much separation. So the 3, and then I'll say the 4th way. Number 1, the biggest way people tend to learn is through health conditions, health-related issues. And that's because the body is an excellent communication device designed to force us to learn and change. And so when we have health related issues, it typically means that's the way we're learning. And it may mean that we weren't learning on the mental plane or the emotional plane. It usually means that because whatever our mental plane was, we either ignored it, denied it, suppressed it, repressed it. And then if we didn't process it in an emotional way, we may have denied it, suppressed it, and then it becomes physical. So physical health conditions are one of the major ways that we learn. So our body, if we have health issues, is trying to teach us. It's a communication device. It's saying you didn't get it when it was in the mental plane. You didn't get it when it was in the emotional plane. And now I really have to get it through to you. So I'm going to create some health issues here because you suppressed it, repressed it, or denied it. Maybe not in this lifetime, maybe from other lifetimes or in between lifetimes, and also maybe in this lifetime. In any case, it's the soul's way of trying to come into the body and the higher self's way of trying to teach the being. So that's a way you're learning. If money issues are entangled in that, that's a second way. The second way we learn as human beings tends to be money, wealth, abundance, and prosperity. Because why? If we haven't gotten it in the mental plane, if we haven't gotten it in the emotional plane, like it feels bad to be in lack, for example, it's going to show up in the physical plane as a form of lack. So that's the second way. And the resistance that comes up, the judgment that comes up is, I don't have enough to give. I have medical bills to pay. Those are just some examples. That's a resistance that comes up. And it's up to us to work through our resistance. That's part of energy healing. So I understand that resistance. I understand that it's not easy. I had to break myself free of this too. I didn't tell you my story because we have 2 hours here, but I understand. And I'm not saying it's easy. I am saying that's why we're here, to help ourselves to resolve this. So I'll address more solution-wise too, but let me just finish this point. The third way we typically learn in the human world is through relationships. So struggles in the, oh good, we just moved some more energy. Struggles in the area of relationships, especially with people we love, or wanting love, wanting relationships, desiring healthy relationships, or being challenged by the relationships that we do have. Those are ways that will teach us. Again, if we didn't learn it up here and somehow realize it, if we didn't learn it here, somehow realize it, it shows up in the physical world as a relationship challenge or various relationship challenges, even if the relationship challenge is with ourselves. Self-hatred, self-judgment, self-loathing, personal dislike, And those things, by the way, will also show up in the physical body. So that's a third way that we learn and we make change. And understand, if the people around us are showing up as enemies or people we don't like or dislike, it's typically because there's an imbalance in there that you're addressed, and there's some learning to do, right? Okay, that's relationships. The fourth way I'll say that we learn, and learning is evolution, right? We're evolving at this time. That's what ascension is. Humanity's going through an ascension cycle. So we're evolving. But the fourth way is through our spiritual connection with the divine. So for the bulk of humanity who's not really actively engaged in a spiritual, the bulk of humanity has religious practice, some form of religious practice. There's a lot of atheists out there, or people who don't engage. So people who are working in religion, they're learning through their spiritual connection, regardless what their religion is. But that's just a field of study, right? Even if we're not in a religious group or organization of some kind or another, for me as a light worker, that has been, and as a star seed and as an Indigo family tribe member, I mean, this is the major way for me that I have been learning in this lifetime. And I mean, all of my challenges, I will say, I say it all the time. My higher team calls me a divine brat. Sometimes they say, you're such a divine brat, because I struggle with the non-physical realm. A lot of times like, God, why is this going on? The source, creator, teach me this. Help me know this. Help me understand this. Why is this happening? Well, how do we change this? How do we transform this? That's my way in this lifetime more than anything of learning. But believe me, I have had to learn through money issues. I have had to learn through relationship issues. And I have had to learn, not as much, but in some ways through health challenges. Primarily those showed up in my animal companions, because animals have been major teachers and healers for me. Nonetheless, those are the four major areas. And if you can understand that you're learning through that, it will help. So if you have money challenges, to go back to Glenn, and health challenges, and you feel as though it's very hard to donate when you have to pay the bills, I get that. I get it. It's hard. And we want to get you out of it. So this is what is the gap in there? Maybe the gap in there is a leap of faith, trust. It sounds like that's one of the pieces that needs to be healed, right? We heal that. When I use the word healing, what I mean is we have to come into alignment on this, because if we don't trust in the divine, if we can't say, all right, source, I really do want to tithe, but every last penny is going to medical bills. How am I going to turn this around? What is the way I'm going to turn this around? And the answer is, you're going to have to tithe. The leap of faith and trust is what's required in there, part of it. Okay, this $1 less that I'm going to pay Medicare, I'm just going to make a leap of faith, $1 less. Instead of paying Medicare, my Medicare bill, $1 less, I'm going to take this dollar and I'm going to be so grateful and so full of joy, and as a leap of faith, so that the divine can teach me the greatness of tithing and to show me and demonstrate me. If I really should be tithing this, I'm going to tithe it. I'm going to donate it to the most loving, joyful thing I can possibly donate it, tithe it to, in joyful expectation of demonstrating trust and faith, and that the universe, the divine source, can prove to me, not from a place of arrogance or superiority or any of that, but rather from a place of humility, demonstrate to me, source, how I can trust you through this tithe. Show me how this faith, I'm going to put this dollar out. Show me that you are trustworthy, that as I tithe to you, you will send it back to me in equal or greater force in joyful ways. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And tithe that $1 and watch for the next 24, 48 hours with joyful expectation, Glenn. This is energy. Joyful expectation. You have to cultivate this in yourself. Now, I'm saying it like it's easy. I know it's not. I've been doing this my whole life. It's still not easy. I still have it sometimes. So, but this is the way it's done. This is the way we have to change, because this is ascension. You have a choice. You have a conscious choice. Stuck, lack, limitation, poverty, restriction, constriction, resistance, hardship, that feels like this. That is the density of the third dimensional reality. Or leap of faith, leap of faith, leap of faith, a little scared, trusting, faithing, trusting, having faith, excitement. I'm going to try to be excited. I'm going to try to be excited. I'm going to be joyful. I'm going to be joyful. Okay, I'm going to donate it out. I can't wait to see. I'm excited to see. How's it going to come back? What's it going to be? What's it going to be? How's it going to be? How's it going to be? Source, give me the faith. Give me the trust. Give me the faith. Give me the trust. Can't wait to see. Can't wait to see. So excited. Can't wait to see. Oh my God. Yay. That's 5D, 4D, 5D, right? Being excited, being joyful. This is the game. Okay, I hope this is making sense because it's a little more challenging when I'm talking without having, interaction, but hopefully that's helpful. Okay. I hope that helps, Glenn. I will say one other thing. I did this in my very early stages, but I don't think you can do it for long. And I don't think it will ultimately really be the solution on the tithing thing. But there were times I did tithe to the Church of Me, TCOM, the Church of Me. And I still have that. It's like I put it in a safe, like under my bed for a while. And I would tithe to the church. Well, actually, in the early days, I made an altar. I teach this in my self-love and self-value course. And also I have a class on my sacred membership course. Oh, we were going to talk about that, Neil. We can talk about that later. Sacred membership course. There's a whole class in there on the secret energy of money. It's a 5-week class with energy healing and downloads and activations. And I teach about, building an altar to yourself. And I tithe to my Church of Me. And I would say, I'm honoring me because I know I'm being of service. My life is about service. And I'm going to let the divine repay me fairly. I'm putting my trust in the divine, but I'm going to tithe to the Church of Me for the services that I'm doing and the contribution I'm making to society, and in recognition that I'm ready to receive from the divine. But a tithe to the Church of Me was in the very early days when I was still working on my self-worth and self-value. And I knew that I was building my career through the service work that I was doing, and I wasn't yet being compensated, and I hadn't yet resolved these kinds of issues that we're sharing about today. So I tithe to the Church of Me, but you can never spend the money that you tithe. It's not your money. It's God's money. You can do that for a little while, but I find that ultimately that's a testing ground, or so to speak, and maybe that's not the right word, a playing ground for you to practice. And you can try it and see how that works. But I remember, I'll just say this really fast, and then I want to get into the meditation part. I remember hearing something, some of you may have heard this from, what's his name? The famous actor. He's so kind of cute and funny and silly guy, Jim. He was in the Truman Show. Someone say his name on the chat room. His name, Jim Carrey. Thank you, Glenn. And he told the story, which you can easily find on YouTube, I'm sure, where he would put money in the bushes and then he'd go hide and wait for somebody to find it. I did that for years. I lived in Los Angeles, and I would go to Agape, Reverend Michael Beckwith's church. It's not called the church, Spiritual Center, every Wednesday night and sometimes on Sundays, and I would write love notes all over the bills. You are loved. I love you. Supply. And then I'd go put it in the bushes. And I would get so excited because I knew somebody from that church was going to find it. And if it wasn't, it'd be somebody who was doing gardening the next day, and they probably didn't have a lot of money anyway. And then that was good too. And it would make me really excited. And it started off with $1 bills and $5 bills. And then it got to $20 bills. And I remember putting $100 bills in the basket like that. And I mean, that's how it starts. So play with it. Anyway, I learned that from Jim Carrey. All right. So I don't see, somebody's asking, can food addiction be related to blocks, financial blocks? Well, yes, addiction is a whole separate conversation, which I could spend 2 hours just on that. Really easy. More than 2 hours, right? It's a lifetime of stuff. Addiction, patterning and programming, and addiction, what we call addiction webbing, entanglements, is entangled with everything. And it's always, all forms of addiction is linked into self-worth and self-lack issues, lack, self-worth, self-value, self-love. I mean, what is feeding addiction, nourishing the addiction? Because there's a lack of love, lack of worth, lack of value inside in the consciousness, even though that's never really true. It's just belief systems we took on and programs and stuff from our consciousness. And so we're trying to fill ourselves with something because there's something missing. And the addiction is food, substance, alcohol, cigarettes, and certainly spending. I mean, I had a spending addiction. When I quit my 6-figure job, I had a 6-figure credit card debt. And you understand, I didn't even really address the debt, but all debt is where we hold ourselves hostage. So I cleared my 6-figure credit card debt through the combination of being of service, learning to tithe and starting to practice it, and forgiveness work. Forgiveness is the cure to a lot of things. One of the things forgiveness is the cure to is debt. But when you're talking about addiction, I had an addiction to spending while I was in corporate America. I was spending on my credit card, knowing that I was making a 6-figure income, and then not expecting that I was going to just somehow be re-railed as a starseed, go through a 2-year dark night of the soul, and then emerge like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing starseed work. I'm supposed to be doing ascension work. Like, I didn't get it. So I had to resolve my 6-figure credit card debt, right? That was an addiction. So all of these addictions are ways that we feed and nourish ourselves, and they're false ways. The true way is through, that's what energy healing is, and coming into alignment with the divine. So yes, it can be certainly linked to financial blocks, of course, because it's linked into self-love, self-worth, self-value issues, which is the number one thing we're identifying. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right. All right. So when people ask, can they tithe with their time or energy if money is tight? Well, the answer is yes, but you understand, if you're tithing with your time and energy, that's not going to directly bring money in necessarily, because what you put out comes back to you with equal or greater force. So tithing with your time or energy is a requirement in service. You must do service in this world. You must be of service to align with the divine. And you want to be of service because that's how you're going to find your love and your joy and your happiness. And ultimately your service is going to lead you to your abundance. I mean, I did animal communication and energy healing for years in service. And I'll never forget the day I was doing it outside a bookstore as a gift. I spent an hour doing incredible energy healing and animal communication and psychic reading for these people. I mean, an hour, and it was so good. And at the end of the hour, they put $1 in the tip jar. And that was the day I quit. I was like, this is BS. I was nauseated that someone gave me $1 for that. And that's when I realized it's time to start charging, because I just felt so bad. I was so undervalued. And I realized I was doing that to myself because I had been donating my time and energy. So you understand, that was the universe telling me it's time to charge. This is not good. You feel so bad, right? So the point is you can donate your time and energy, and that's wonderful to be of service, but that's not going to make you rich. That's not, forget it. Not that even that you want to be rich, just that you want to be fairly compensated. My time and donation did not fairly compensate me. It made me realize I'm done. And I still think I'm still of service. This is of service. We never stop being of service and contribution in ways that feel good and right, because we love it, because it's joyful, because it feels good, because it's so wonderful to be of service. It's where all of our joy and happiness comes from. And ultimately, we will, if you don't know that, it's really true. Huge part of joy and happiness comes through that and through tithing that way. But that's not what's going to make you money. Typically speaking, it won't. It might lead you to it. I hope that makes sense, because what you give out comes back to you in equal or greater force. So if you're giving everything out for free, you're just going to have more people to give to away for free. More people, animals, whatever. It's not going to make you direct money. And understand, I think I made this point. Service is very important, but that's not what directly creates abundance. Giving away what you want to receive in return. This is true about everything. If you give away happiness and joy and love to people, you will be loved back. If you give away kindness and compassion, you will receive it in return. If you give away arrogance, you will receive it in return. If you give away judgment, you will receive it in return, because this is the way energy works. It's the same laws of the universe governing all those other forms of energy too. Okay, I want to say this one other thing. I hope that helps. I want to say this one other thing. It is much harder and more excruciatingly painful to be in poverty and lack than it is to be abundant. Abundance and prosperity energetically. Everybody just take a breath. Abundance, prosperity, flow feels good, feels right, feels easy, feels like this, something like this, right? Lack, limitation, poverty, constriction feels like this, feels hard, feels bad. I'm dramatizing, look at myself. I mean, I'm dramatizing, but it's really true. And I know this even in my work, that when my most lowest priced item, which is one of the highest quality things they get, but I want to make it available to the most number of people. I do DNA activations, and we go into the bloodlines and the DNA, and we clear out programming, and we activate 5D programming in the DNA and new codes that are lying there waiting for us to receive. That's my lowest price item. And I always know it's the hardest one to do, in a sense, because I get the most hassle from people. Literally, people saying, can I give it away for free to people? Do you mind if I share it with somebody? Hey, can I get it? Like, I just actually increased the price because I got so many people. I made that a vow to myself. If somebody starts devaluing it, I have to increase the price. So I just recently increased the price because somebody started devaluing it. And then I got somebody who wrote to me and was like, oh, you decreased the price before I could buy it. Can I please have it at the old rate? So fine, give them at the old rate. I want it to be available to people. That's why I've kept it at a low rate. And that person then wrote us 3 more emails about just stupid little things like, this is a headache. It's too hard to do things that are too low priced or that are too ingrained in poverty and lack. It's harder. It's harder work. It's harder to have no money. It's harder to not be abundant. Now, if you understand that and you start letting go of everything in your life that's really hard, painful, doesn't mean you're not willing to do work and serve in joyful ways that feel good and right. But you start letting go of the things that are just too hard, too many problems. You're starting up leveling to more prosperity and abundance. You're starting up leveling to the divine, because the divine does not feel hard. The divine feels light, flowy, effortless, graceful. Okay, I hope this makes sense, and I hope this is helpful. I want to say one other thing. Really important. Gratitude. Can't begin to tell you enough. I'm looking at your comments. And I think that what I just delivered is like really good stuff, right? And I don't need this directly, but I want to say to you, your expression of gratitude is going to bring forward more for you. So expressing gratitude is an abundance frequency. When we look at energy, the energy of lack, limitation is ingratiated. People tend to not be as grateful. Like when I remember when I just reduced that price, gave that person the old rate, there was not even a thank you. Like, oh, thank you so much. Gratitude happens over here. Oh my God, thank you so much. Like, just look at how Neil started the call. He was like so grateful. He was so grateful. And I was so grateful to Neil and Saul. Do you know that when I was at the last Portal to Ascension event, I walked up the steps to the event, and Saul was at the top of the steps, and she looks at me and she wraps her arms around me and she's just hugging me and loving me, and I can feel through the heart center how much she loves me, and she's so happy I'm there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like the best greeting ever. She was so there. And I mean, that's why I'm doing this. Like, I felt that gratitude from her and from Neil. And that is what grows and expands prosperity, because that feels so good. So playing with gratitude, expressing our gratitude, even if it is like, just for today, I have the simple little things. Like, I have a great computer, I have a great microphone, or I'm here, or I'm grateful to Neil, or whatever, just wherever you're grateful for, that is going to expand abundance too. But that's a way of being and living. That's not just, oh, in this moment I'll say thank you. That's like, I am grateful. I'm so grateful for the Portal to Ascension community. I feel a sense of home. When I was there, I met so many wonderful people. I so enjoyed that I got to be of service and share. And that expanded for me to meeting new people that I love and enjoy, and who are now my friends. And that's what gratitude does. It's living in a state of gratitude, and being that expands you into more abundance and prosperity in all areas of life. And for me, one of the things that's, I know, so important to me is great community with people that I love and enjoy, who love and enjoy and appreciate me. So that's why we're here right now, because of that gratitude between Saul, Neil, me. That's why we're all here right now. That gratitude grew this. So just live your life with gratitude for whatever you're grateful for, whatever feels so good and right for you. Okay. I hope that is helpful. I feel like I could go on for a long time, but I want to do the healing part. So now we're going to transition. Neil, are you still there? I just want to check in. Is there anything? Well, I know that if there was, you would pop your head in, but I'm just going to keep going unless we need to do anything or make any break. I'm going to take a sip of water, and we're going to go to the meditation part, and I'm going to move some energy, because we already just moved some more energy. Okay, now we're going to the healing part. Now, I want to say two quick things. If you would like to, this is something I wanted to make available to you guys. I hope this coupon code works. I forgot to check. But if you would like to, you can head over to lorispagna.com. And on the home page, first of all, there's tons of great gifts there, but they're not gifts necessarily. There's a DNA activation there. I'm trying to get my website open. There's a DNA activation, and there's a gifted class on animal communication and telepathy. And there's a gifted class on, there's a whole ton of stuff on psychic development, animal communication, starseed stuff, how to know if you're a starseed family races. That stuff's all gifted. But if you would like to do the membership, there's a membership where there's a full course. I think that's what we were going to do. Do you remember, Neil? Okay. And there's a full course right now on that. You have two options, actually. I was going to do this with Neil's group. On the membership, there's a full course in there on the secret energy of money and the spiritual laws of wealth, and you can save $100. You use a coupon code SACRED7, the number 7, and the S is capital SACRED, SACRED7, and you can save $100 off the rate. That's the membership. So it's lorispagna.com/membership. And that has a full course in it. Literally, it's that membership. It's hundreds of hours of content on ascension, psychic development, DNA activations, manifestation, animal communication, telepathy, energy healing, and a full course on this topic area with energy healing and tons of stuff. So if you'd like that, and if that coupon is not available anywhere else, and that's how I would know that you're part of this community, SACRED7 at the checkout, SACRED7 as in number 7, and the S is capital. And I think that only works with the full pay option, not with the 2 pay. Okay. I hope that's helpful for those of you who want to do more. So, but let's do our meditation. Now, this part is not a multitasking, right? This is a part where you want to be actively involved, because with energy, the idea is when you get yourself in kind of like a neutral state, that's when we get out of our own resistance. So I'm going to lead you through a brief meditation. Like when I say brief, I just want to put you in a relaxed state. And then once I get you sort of breathing in a proper way, I'm going to say a prayer. And then we're going to do the clearing part. And the clearing part is basically similar to what we've been discussing today, but the divine, once I get into this, I'm in a multidimensional state. I'm accessing the divine source, the collective consciousness, angels, benevolence. Sometimes we might get some channeled information comes through, possibly, but the whole thing will be, we say, about approximately 45 minutes. So get yourself sitting upright, ideally not falling asleep. My eyes will get closed too. And you want to start breathing. Now the breath work, deep, long, slow, full breaths. So slow and long. Feel, and you can close your eyes whenever you feel comfortable. You feel the breath coming in. Some of you are already doing it. You feel it coming in through the nose. And when your eyes close, you start to identify it. You feel it. Feel the breath coming in. Feel it go into the brain. Feel it travel down the throat. Feel the chest fill up. And you can exhale anytime you're ready, but you'll notice the next time the breath will be even longer and slower and deeper. And that's good. The body starts going into homeostasis. So breathe again. And when you breathe the next time, you start to identify the breath. You guys are doing great. I can feel you all already. The breath is a breath of love. So you're actually breathing love into your body. If you prefer, you can breathe peace. But those are like your 2 high frequencies. And you're feeling it as it goes in, right? Through the major chakra centers, goes into the nose, lights up the brain, the breath of love, goes down into the throat, goes into the heart center. And again, you can exhale whenever you want, but we eventually want to get this breath of love to fill up even down fuller from the heart center into the belly. So the whole belly opens up and expands, middle of the back. We feel the love filling us up, the love and the peace that we're breathing in. And then, of course, goes down to the reproductive center, next major chakra center. And it's at a pace that feels good and right for you. So it's not like we have to absolutely sync up. Eventually we will. You'll see we synchronize, heart synchronicity, right? But fill up the reproductive center. Then you'll notice, the buttocks wants to relax. So breathe the next breath in, fill up the buttocks area. And you feel your body now is expanding. You can feel the breath relaxing you. And the buttocks gets expanded. Now you feel the next breath, when you exhale, whenever you feel comfortable, the breath of love, peace, now can fill up the whole channel much clearer. Goes in through the nose, fills up the brain, pineal gland, pituitary gland, that's your third eye. Fills up the throat center, fills up the heart center. Now it's traveling down the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the primary nerve that travels from the brain to the base of the spine. And it relaxes you. The body starts to go into homeostasis. You're fully awake and aware. The belly center gets full. Reproductive center gets full. Buttocks gets full. You exhale when you're ready. And then you take in another breath. Now this time we're going to make it a little more aligned. Next breath of love and peace comes in through the nose. Brain starts to light up with love and peace. You feel everywhere in your brain starts to relax. Now you recognize you're no longer in a beta brainwave. You're actually at least in an alpha brainwave. You're very relaxed. You start to notice breath of love, breath of peace, relaxing you. And you give permission to anywhere in your body that needs to relax or stretch or move. Because it's not like a full yet meditation. We're not deep into it yet. We're still preparing. So you breathe in And now it's still traveling down that vagus nerve and down the core pillar. These are your major chakra centers: throat center, heart center. The whole chest relaxes into breath of peace and love. Arms, shoulders, hands, whatever needs to relax. Neck, still breathing in the love and the peace. Fills up the belly, any of the internal organs in the center of the body that need to can move. It's okay, right? Give yourself that breath of love, that breath of peace to stretch and relax. Breathe it down. Reproductive center, anything that needs to move, hips, waist, anything that needs to stretch. Finally, love and peace. The light of the love and the peace is bringing into the body whatever it needs to release whatever's been stressed or tense or tight, any struggle. And now reproductive center fills up. And you feel and sense the love and the peace filling up that area. Anyone who's got hormonal imbalance, that love and that peace naturally starts to restore homeostasis to the body, brings health and well-being. Now breathe it into the buttocks area once again. Anyone who's had problems releasing, constipation, hemorrhoids, any struggle in that area of the body, the breath of love and peace will start to restore homeostasis. So feel it. Feel that part of the body fill up with the love and the peace. And when you're ready with your next breath, whatever it is, you exhale on your comfort zone. Then you drop the next breath out, down through the buttocks, the breath of love and peace into Mother Earth. There's no way to do this wrong. Drop your love and peace all the way down through the layers of Mother Earth. Some of you are way ahead of me on this, right? And you drop down energetically love and peace into the center of Mother Earth. Now, in the center of Mother Earth, there's crystalline realm, the crystalline consciousness, aka Christ consciousness. It's not a religious thing. It's a crystalline thing. Drop down in there. There's no way to do it wrong. You're just breathing in a comfortable pace for you, love and peace. And energetically connect in with Mother Earth. No way to do it wrong. Connect in with the crystalline consciousness and then start to breathe it back up. You guys are already there. I'm talking you through it. Now, like a crystal comes up, like a crystalline consciousness comes up through the buttocks. Now, this is the core base chakra center. Like, just imagine crystalline consciousness, crystalline energy expanding now like a ripple effect in every direction, all around the buttocks area. There's no way to do it wrong. You're opening up your chakra center and you rise it up and you breathe it up now into the reproductive center. Like a crystalline consciousness, open and expand in every direction around you. Yeah, you're just opening your chakra center. I'm leading you through it. And then rise it up into the belly center like a crystalline consciousness. Ripples out all around the belly. You're relaxing, breathing in love and peace. And expanding love and peace. This is you building your container. Another breath rises it up, that crystalline consciousness into the heart center. Let it expand out in every direction. You're opening your own heart center. Breath of love and peace now into the throat. And rise up this crystalline consciousness into the throat center, expands out the throat center, opens up thyroid, thymus, all the glands in this area. Center of truth, authenticity, trust, safety to speak your truth. Breathe and expand in every direction. Now, breathe it up. The next time, I want you to breathe up into the brain. That crystalline consciousness, Mother Earth, comes up into the brain. The breath of love, the breath of peace in the brain area. Open and expanding in every direction around you. Opens up the third eye, pineal gland, relaxes the brain, helps with things like headaches and migraines. Breathing in love and peace. Now reach to the top of the brain. This time I want you to top out at the top of the brain. So I want you to breathe all that love and peace right to the top of your brain, underneath the scalp. Now you're going to feel yourself really relaxed. There you go. You guys are doing so awesome. I feel you. I'm with you. And this is where I'm going to say the prayer. Actually, I'm going to bring you up a little higher. Higher first. I'm asking source. Now, let's stop here for just a few moments. So reach for the top of your brain. You're breathing in this love and peace, and you're feeling for the top of your brain under the scalp. There's no way to do it wrong. You just keep reaching, breathing in love and peace. Reach for the top of the brain, under the scalp, and then exhale and relax. There you go. Now, good. I want you guys to keep doing that. This is where I'm going to say the prayer. Breathing, love and peace. Reach for the top of the brain, under the scalp. You're not leaving your body. You're in your body. You can still stretch or move any you want, and then breathe some more. Top of the brain, under the scalp. That's simple. And exhale. Love and peace is all you're breathing. That's good. You guys are all with me. I feel you. And I'm going to say the prayer, then we're going to drop back down into the heart center. I'm calling in divine source, creator God of all that is, the highest, clearest, purest, original source, creator God of all that is, the original source of consciousness, the original source of creation, infinite love, infinite light, infinite peace, infinite wisdom, infinite presence, divine source, creator God of all that is. We lovingly call your consciousness in, through, and around us here and now, circling in, through, and around us, infusing each and every one of us with your consciousness and your gifts, the gifts of the divine, the original source, creator God of all that is. Lovingly surround and infuse us now with your consciousness. Lovingly bring forward healing, consciousness, and transformation on the topic area, particularly of health, wealth, abundance, prosperity, self-love, self-worth, self-value, generosity of spirit, generosity of giving and receiving, fair energy exchange. Bring forward your healing, your consciousness, your gifts to each and every one of us participating here and now. Surround us, infuse us, lead us, and guide us. And let the maximum benefits for the greatest good of all be revealed and provided today with harm to none. We give thanks now. We are unanimously agreed. We also call forward our own higher selves and the greater good of this team, this group participating here now. We call forward the angels, the goddesses, the benevolent beings of love and light, angel gods, our benevolent family, tribe members, galactic shamans, whose most truest divinity wish for us here now is to be of service and contribution in the highest and best and most benevolent ways with harm to none. We give thanks for your loving presence. We also call forward the animal kingdom, who has the same or similar intention, and also our star family races, the star beings from the non-physical realm who absolutely love and adore us and who wish only for our highest and most benevolent best. Prosperity angels, abundance angels especially, of course, wealth angels, and benevolent beings. We give thanks now that you are joining us here today for the healing, for this healing meditation, and for the gifts we are about to receive, and for the gifts we have already received. We give thanks. We know we are divinely guided, divinely led, and divinely healed. We give thanks for all we are about to receive, and we let it be. We know it is done, and it is done. It is done, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, you're still breathing. Prayer is said. We are all surrounded in this divinity of love, divinity of peace, in this divine source. No one is interfering with your field. You have expanded your field so wide that only your love and your peace is around you, and the divine source is encircling and infusing you. Nothing else is interfering. You just keep breathing and relaxing now. And now at this time, what I would love for you, if you're willing, is to take that next breath of love and peace and drop all the way down into your heart center. Now, there's no way to do this wrong. You just fall, collapse, so to speak, into the depth of your own heart. And you keep breathing in love and peace. You're just going deeper into love. And you're now trusting, because I'm about to start translating for you what Source wants to provide to us and what comes through. And you're going to listen, but you're still breathing in love and peace and just dropping into your own heart as you breathe love and peace in a comfortable, relaxed, rhythmic way for you that feels good and right for your body and being. And I'm going to get quiet for just a moment while I listen and pay attention to what's being offered to us today. Good. So the first and foremost, of course, for each and every being here now, and only as is appropriate for each individualized body and being, at this time, we will provide a healing. And this healing is gifts of consciousness. These gifts of consciousness are related to those topic areas which have been discussed today. The gifts of consciousness will be higher truth, creator's point of view, creator's perspective, understanding, and definition on that which has been discussed today, that which has been reviewed. These truths, these points of view, these perspectives, understandings, and definitions will now be instilled within you and within every cell of your body and being, and the divine source consciousness. That your truths, your point of view, and your perspective, understanding, and definition will be made one and the same as creators as it relates to these topic areas. Now is the time for you to breathe, receive, consent, and allow if you so choose. If not, you say no thank you, take a breath. We will move beyond you, move past you. However, if you willingly receive these gifts to be activated and awakened within you and aligned within you and brought into alignment with Creator of all that is, now is the time. Breathe, receive, consent, and allow. So you say, yes, please, yes, thank you. I get out of the way. By the way, that's channeled, right? This is me already out of the way. In a way, I come in and out. I'm getting out of the way. Source does the healing. You say, yes, please, yes, thank you, and take a long, slow, deep, relaxing breath. Let the divine provide the gifts to you. Here it comes, nice. Even if you're listening in delayed playback, this energy is live. It is source energy, omnipotent, omnipresent, never limited to time or space. Notice whatever you notice. You can feel the difference. If you're sensitive, you can feel it. If not, just notice yourself noticing, breathing, and relaxing. This is how the healing works. You're the witness, you're the participant, you're the receiver. I'm the facilitator, the translator. Source is the healer. The healer is just making energetic shifts in your body, your being, in your life, your living, and your consciousness based on what is translated. There we go, nice. There it is, nice. Good. I'm listening again now. Next, we're moving on. You're still breathing and receiving. Source would like to provide to you the following truths. I know what it feels like and I know how to be and to live my life as worthy and deserving. I am worthy and deserving. I have Creator's truth, point of view, perspective, understanding, and definition of worth and deservability. My truth, my point of view, my perspective, understanding, and definition is one and the same as Creator's as it relates to the topic area of worthiness and deservability. I live my daily life feeling and being worthy and deserving, all within from Creator's consciousness. If you'd like these truths to be yours, please breathe, receive, accept, and allow. You say, yes, please, yes, thank you. You take a breath and you notice yourself. That's it. The shift that's happening for you is happening on an energetic level, on a conscious level, in the sense that you're breathing and receiving and aware, and on an unconscious level, which you are fully, at this moment, not fully conscious of. So you're allowing it. Source does the healing. You receive. For everyone listening live and in delayed playback. As often as you want, you can listen again and again, and the healing will go even deeper. I know what it feels like to fairly give, receive, and exchange energy, all forms of energy, in ways that feel good and right to my body and being. I know what it feels like, and I know how, and I'm worthy and deserving of these things. I have Creator's truth, Creator's point of view, and Creator's perspective, understanding, and definition on this. And my truth, my point of view, and my perspective, understanding, and definition is one and the same as Creator's. I know what it feels like, and I know how to live in the abundance and the prosperity and the insight of Creator of all that is. I live my life in the infinite abundance, the infinite supply, the infinite prosperity of the Creator of all that is, the divine source. I am aligned with the Creator of all that is on this topic area. My truth, my point of view, my perspective, understanding, and definition is one in the same as the Creator's on this topic area. Good. So these are new perspectives. We're downloading and activating and awakening within you. If you would like it, now is the time to give consent. Breathe, receive, consent, and allow. These truths become your truth on every cell of your body and being, the whole of your body and being. This is embodiment. You're embodying this knowing. It's not just left brain, analytical. It's full embodiment. Let me get out of the way while it's done. Your yes allows the law of free will to make way and allow it to be so, right? The law of free will requires you to say yes, please, yes, thank you, or some form of yes, 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 yes. There we go. Nice. And you just notice, you're just noticing yourself receiving the healing. Energetic transformation, vibrational upliftment, vibrational alignment, vibrational attunement. That's what's happening here. Full integration. So when I say full integration, it just means that somebody in the group needed a little more on this. Somebody, one more or more. There it goes. Nice, good. Source is telling me it's done. Now I'm listening for the next. I know what it feels like, and I know how to joyfully share in the abundance and wealth that is available to me. It's safe for me. It's safe for me to joyfully share in the giving and the receiving of the abundance and wealth that is available to me. I have unlimited abundance and wealth available to me. I know how, and I know what it feels like to share, exchange, and receive in a healthy way that feels good and right, and to be in flow with the joyful receiving and exchanging of what is available to me, which is infinite supply. I have these truths within my knowing. These truths are my truth. Every cell of my body and being has these truths as my truth. If you're willing to receive this now, and all, as always, only in ways that serve, support, and assist me, my body, my being, my life, my living, highest and best and most benevolent, with harm to none. These are my truths now. If you so choose and receive them, breathe, receive, consent, and allow. Yes. Okay, now when you hear me do that, it means some density was just cleared out of the way, some blocks or something that interfered, right? So that these can be received. Breathe. Good, here it comes. Nice. You're just noticing. This is energy healing. It's just so subtle. We don't realize the dramatic effects always in the now moment, but they stay with us long after the healing is done and complete. This is where the healing begins. That's all. The benefits of it continue once we're done, and they continue. Full integration. Good. Okay, this part's going to be a clearing, a lifting and a removing. For as we have removed much of the density that has been in this group at the start of the call, up until the now moment, there is more density, which has been, we will say the word stuck and or that has been now is ready to be lifted, removed, dissolved, and taken away. We will now label this density as dross and heaviness related to stuckness, related to lack, related to limitation, related to poverty. And we will do this for you throughout lifetimes and generations. Entanglements and snarlements of lack and limitation will now gently and lovingly be identified, for they have been lifted. And they will be completely lifted, removed, dissolved, and taken away. Generations upon generations of lack, limitation, not enoughness, stuckness, poverty, and the entanglements associated with it. Now, this feels a little yucky to me as I'm translating it. It's coming up, but you're just breathing and receiving and allowing. It feels sometimes like the density is being pulled up. I get to go. Okay, so I got to get out of the way while it's done.
You're saying yes, if you're willing. Divine Source, we have benevolent galactic shamans here working with us on this. Lifting, removing, dissolving, and taking it away and transmuting it into love and light, returning it home to Divine Source, that we never again need to perpetuate it and or recreate it, that we're done and complete with it once and for all, once and forever. And as this is being removed, the spirits associated with the lack, the limitation, etc., are being banished, deactivated in terms of their very life force, scrambled in terms of their frequencies, neutralized in terms of all their energy, and given up to Divine Source, Creator, God of all that is, once again, that we never again live a reality based in poverty, lack, limitation, etc., removed, dissolved, transmuted into love and light. Now is the time. Breathe, receive, consent, and allow, if you so choose, to this part of this healing. Good to go. Way to go. Way to go. Way to go. So it's a little bit like a bit of a drama, but all that heaviness has to get cleared out of the field. Here it goes. Much better now already. Lifting, removing, dissolving. So this is some of the stuff that we've buried underneath the conversation and the dialogue that was ready to be lifted and taken away. Now we replace it with gifts of greater consciousness on this topic area. Everything you, whoever you are, as an individual, are meant to know, see, perceive, realize, understand, accept, allow, embrace, acknowledge. The gifts you're meant to receive in your own life journey now. Understand they're being activated in you and awakened from within you. These are gifts of consciousness with and from Divine Source consciousness, Divine Source truth, Divine Source perspective, understanding, and definition. They're being gifted to you now, that your consciousness will be expanded, that you get these gifts, they become yours. As a unique individual, what you're meant to learn. In the now moment, you might notice nothing other than breathing and receiving. The gifts are like gifts been sitting under a present, under a tree, Christmas tree, that you're going to be unwrapping, unpacking, realizing in the coming days, weeks, months, even after the call is done. So if you're willing to receive these gifts, this is what's replacing that which we just cleared out. Breathe, receive, consent, and allow now that this shall be done for you. And these gifts, of course, are in service and contribution to your highest and most benevolent best, with harm to none, and as are uniquely appropriate for you, your body, your life, your living. This is the time. Breathe, receive, consent, and allow. Here it comes. Notice whatever you notice. You just notice. You're not expecting anything in particular. What was translated is what's being provided. There, it's coming now. There we go. Nice. It's a slow one because there's a lot of gifts of consciousness coming in here, and it's whatever reason it's moving slowly. Just notice what you notice. You're breathing, you're receiving. Yes, please. Yes, thank you. Assuming you want it. This is a full integration here. Good. Nice. I have Lords of Karma stepping through. I'm going to give them an audience. I'm going to translate. Lords of Karma here have been living in your realms of your Akash, the Akashic realms. Here in the recognition that you all are working through issues of what you might have called karma and karmic retribution. Simply the awareness that we held in place the gifts for you that you were meant to receive. For without these gifts, you would not have been aware that they were awaiting you. And that you are in full receivership of them now. There is no karma to pay. There's simply gifts to claim. That's our record. That's our record. That's our responsibility to keep these gifts sacred for you, held for you, until such time you are ready to receive them. They are gifts of God, of course. We are just the holders, the keepers. There's no wrongness in any of your reality. Simply the opportunities to up-level and transform. Be prepared for great abundance in your future. If you are, so you shall receive, because those are your gifts. There is great abundance for all of humanity. However, the old systems that have kept you in limitation and lack, you well know, falling apart. For those are not the systems of abundance and prosperity. In those systems that are serving the few at the expense of many are collapsing. Rely not upon them. Prepare for that which has been spoken to be received. Your abundance lies in your connection with Source. It is known and it is true. And as you let this recognition permeate through your consciousness, and as you develop and cultivate your connection with the higher realms, you will come to find, in fact, it is fact, you are infinitely abundant. Through your love and your joy and your excitement and your optimism and other great expansive realms of consciousness, you will find this infinite abundance has always been available to you. You just were not aware that the gifts were waiting for you to claim. We are the record keepers, and we step back now. Service and contribution to the whole. Okay, that was interesting. That's the first time I ever channeled those guys. Okay, that's very cool. All right, good. Let me get out of the way here. I want to ask. Okay, we're going to do, I just want to check in on time because I have no idea of linear time. Okay. We have a little bit more time, so let me just ask what Source would like to do next. Actually, there's quite a number of beings coming in, and I'm asking who's most relevant for the group. Over here, I have a lot of goddess energy. Okay, so we're hearing them first. Lakshmi Abundantia. Lakshmi Abundantia, a goddess collective. We could easily refer to as a goddess collective. Nonetheless, it is the realms of divine femininity that is in sacred flow. An important aspect of your flow of abundance and prosperity in all areas of life requires the embracing of divinity, divine feminine energy. To understand that true divinity and feminine energy is flow and allowance. Your masculine energy of force and creation will help you to create abundance, prosperity, wealth, etc. But it is the flow, the receivership, the allowance, the being, which will allow you to experience it in greater and more magnificent ways. Therefore, it is our great wish, our great pleasure, and our great honor to provide to you more consciousness of the embodiment of the divine feminine, which is so pervasive now in the awakening communities. For without the divine feminine, which has been largely ostracized in the old patriarchal system, without this divine feminine, many do experience various forms of lack, limitation, etc. The flow of the divine feminine will support and assist you in more of the effortless exchange and the being comfortable at the frequency of having, the frequency of being. That is divine feminine energy. As you learn to be, receive, and flow, as you learn to play with these sacred feminine energies, you will find that this restores more balance to your overall prosperity, to your overall abundance, and to the greatness and the magnificence of your life. Therefore, it is our pleasure and enjoyment today to provide to you expanded consciousness on this particular topic area. And we are this collective of divine goddesses, which traditionally we do appear ourselves as individualized beings. However, we have united for the purposes of your linear time. Nonetheless, the gifts are here and available to you now if you so choose to receive. This would be the time. So these are gifts. Okay, they're saying I need not explain any further. So if you're willing, breathe and allow. That's very nice for me. I didn't have to translate further. So we have Tara, Lakshmi, Abundantia, Saraswati, Magdalene. Many divine goddesses here. It's very beautiful. There we go. You're just bringing us into that feminine flow. Which is a huge part of the receiving and the being. Thank you. We have a subgroup here of the animal collective. The wolf. The wolf, it's not a kingdom, it's a sub collective of the animal kingdom. Here to share in leadership and the recognition that part of your abundance, your prosperity, your wealth in all areas of life will require you to up level in your leadership. Not only your world leadership, which that is not the key area of discussion for today, but rather the leadership you display in your own life, the way you lead yourself in your endeavors, the way you choose to behave in your endeavors. This particular topic has been slightly omitted today, and it is of our will, our desire to bring it to the forefront of the conversation. This is the topic area of how you lead yourself in your endeavors, how you behave in your endeavors, how you interact in all your endeavors. So you shall choose for the greater good of all beings. This is true leadership. When you interact with the collective, in other words, if you participate in any endeavors, if your choice is to act in good leadership, that is with integrity, with honesty, with high moral value, with high degree of caring for your pack, your group, whoever is involved, you will find that your prosperity increases. For way too long, your humanity has been serving smaller subgroups with the elimination of recognizing what is good for all is good for many. What is good for many is good for all. This is changing naturally, obviously. We call forward the leadership mentality that really, truly knows, that is aligned with the awareness that as you behave in your endeavors with the qualities of real leadership, caring for your pack with pride, you will find that your overall prosperity increases. Care for the greater good, not just your own self. This is our message. And this is the message of the wolf: leadership. Be a leader in your life, your own life, how you lead your own self, how you lead your own egoic mind, how you lead yourself in your behaviors, how you display who you are to the world. Doesn't mean you have to be a leader of a pack. It means you have to lead yourself with integrity. It means you have to choose your highest behaviors, your highest values, your highest ethics and morals that make you stand tall and proud of who you are. Who you are. When you feel good about who you are and how you show up in the world, you will find your prosperity increases. When you feel good about you, you feel good about how you care for others, how you lead your family, your community, yourself, most of all. This will significantly and dramatically increase your overall prosperity, not to mention your health and your well-being in all areas of life. We are the wolves, and we gratefully receive and contribute in this day. That was fun. Okay, good. So they're going to share with us wolf consciousness. If you would like this, so this is like how part of how I learned from animals. I let the kingdoms of sub kingdoms, the species and subspecies of animals, share their gifts. So if you would like to receive the gifts of consciousness that have been discussed from the wolves, as I just translated as a channel, you can receive these gifts of consciousness. They will serve you and better you in your life, improve you, right? With these knowings. If you don't want it, it's okay. You don't have to say yes, but if you do, now would be the time. They share these gifts of consciousness, fundamental cellular way. So you take a breath and you say, yes, please, or yes, thank you, or just yes. Yes, yes. And you just notice. You feel in your sense, whatever you feel in your sense. Good. Okay, good. Okay, there's a lot more. However, we're pretty much almost at the end of our time here. I just ask if there's any other short, quick that would like to come through. There's a lot of animals around us, actually. People on the call have animals. There's a lot of animal companions there. And I'm lovingly saying it has to be for the collective. And I do see this little like cat here. It's fascinating, but I'm having to say no. I have Jesus, Yeshua. And I will allow this, of course. It's often been said and often been understood that I was a poor Lord. Let it be known this is far from the truth. To be spiritual does not mean to be poor. To be spiritual does not mean to be lack. To be a good person in service does not mean to be in limitation. Many of you have subscribed to this belief from lifetime to lifetime. Let it be known, I traveled with many, many lords. Lords who were of great wealth. Lords who kept my gold. Lords who carried my gold and silver. Yes, I dispersed it. I tithed. I shared. Lords who had great cloaks and sewed together many beautiful wardrobes for us. Lords who had great supply of animals. And lords who had great abundance of woods and metals and other forms of prosperity of our time. I was a wealthy lord. I was not impoverished. This is a miscommunication through the ages. The idea that in order to do good, you must be impoverished somehow. Nothing could be further from the truth of my day. For those of us who had the greatest wealth had the most to share. Those of us who had the greatest wealth and supply and servant, we had servants, but they were not servants of slavery. They were not servants indentured. They were servants in service. They understood the greater mission of what I chose to accomplish during my time on earth. I was wealthy indeed. The wealth was a different form of wealth, as I've explained. Nonetheless, I am here to translate. Sorry, I just got involved in there. Hold on. Nonetheless, I am here to communicate to you this higher knowing as you step into the awareness that it will serve others as well as yourself greatly to embrace wealth, to embrace abundance, and to clear yourself from any lifetimes where you may have chose poverty, made a vow of poverty or lack for some religious reason or spiritual reason or some form of indoctrination. Many of you had lives in cults. It's not so far-fetched to know that you lived in cults in various lifetimes or another, or harems, various groups. In order to be part of the group, you gave up all that you had just to be included, just to be loved, or for some form of indoctrination or another. As I come forward here now, I simply choose to remind you, this is not an effective way of living in your reality, nor is it a requirement to be spiritual. And this is the gift of the consciousness that I bring forward here now. It is my great honor to share this with you. It is my great honor to show up here in a very verbal way, in this way, for your facilitator has been working directly with me for many eons of time. And therefore, at this now moment, I will provide to you the gifts that I have to provide of this consciousness in a very real and energetic way, that these knowings become your knowing, fully, wholly, and completely throughout your entirety. And that as you align and attune with them, it will serve and support you and all others in a truly beneficial and a truly benevolent way. And certainly, as is always said, with harm to none. Now, if you are willing, this would be the time to receive the gifts and the offerings that I share with you at this moment. And just notice how your body feels as you're breathing, as you're relaxing, as you're conscious, and yet just so slightly altered. Okay, this is done for now. Oh, that was quite an honor. Okay. All right. So we're going to start to come out of this meditation now. There's a lot of other beings gathered with us in the non-physical higher realms, star family races. There is some kind of blue being here that I have never quite seen before, but it's some form of a Hindu god. That is very entertaining and interesting for me as a channel playing in the higher realms. When I meet beings that come forward that are connected to people who are in the group, I just am translating a little about really wild and very cool. All right, so let's start to come out of this, right? I hope you have enjoyed this. And I want to just say, as we start to come out of the meditation part, please know, I know from doing this for now over 10, 12 years that the healing we got just started. So you go out, you walk on nature, you drink lots of water, eat some greens and some nuts, hug a tree, whatever you need to do just to integrate it, to live your life in a natural way. And it starts just to change who you are. This healing just started. That's my point. So as you're starting to take some deep and long and slow breaths, remember, we never left our body. We just expanded who we are. Taking some long and slow deep breaths, you're starting to get more connected with your physical form. You can move gently, lovingly, whatever you need to move, your ankles, your toes, you know this part, your legs, your knees, your thighs, your buttocks, just moving your body ever so gently, your waist, your hips, your mid-back, your upper back, your chest, your shoulders, arms and hands, just stretching whatever needs to stretch, neck, face, eyebrows. And just, if you haven't already, just before you open your eyes, I always just love to finish off my meditations with a big hug. You just hug yourself and You just really tell yourself whatever you need to hear. And usually it's something like, I love you. I bless you. I thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Oh, I want to give you one more gift before we go, but we'll come out of the meditation first. What you appreciate appreciates. That's what the gift is. What you appreciate appreciates. I appreciate you. And thank you, thank you, thank you. Whatever else you need to hear. And just touch yourself lovingly, whatever that is. And then okay. So I think that's about it. We're at 2 hours here. I hope you enjoy that. I know it's pretty wild, right? It's wild for me to do that stuff. But man, it's really cool in the non-physical realm. And I'd love to hear some of your feedback. Thank you, Karen, for that wow. And that most profound, wow, that was amazing, Cassia says. Tears falling still. That's good. Tears are really, when they just start coming, like that happened to me, right? You can see. Tears are like your body's just like cleansing, right? So that's very good. Thank you for sharing that. And Cassia says, that's the only time I felt energy in a meditation. I'm so happy. Oh, good. And Femke says, so amazing. And someone whose name I don't know says, thank you so much. That was awesome. Jesus, that was like incredible. To me, that was incredible. I work with Jesus all the time. And I have channeled so many beings and so many times, but that was just, I mean, for me, that was incredible. I hope, wow. So powerful, Mary says, thank you. Tears and heart hurt, amazing experience from Maria. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. Neil, are you there? That's the last thing I said I wanted to give you is like one of the practices I've done, and I shared this in my self-love class, is when you put your hands on your heart, like you can do this in the morning or at night, and you just take some breaths and you just breathe in the energy of appreciation into yourself. And you say, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. That is self-value and self-worth recognition. So if you just do that for yourself, I gifted that to my community a while ago, like a recording, like meditation with that. But in fact, I might do that again for the holidays. And just do that. Appreciate yourself every day. Just breathe in the energy. That's the self-love, self-care, self-worth thing.
Mm-hmm. Lori, thank you so much.
Oh, Neil, thank you so much.
Loved it.
Everybody loved it. I loved it.
Did you read the comments in the Q&A area? Some people left some comments there too. You want me to read them to you?
I just had the chat open. I didn't see in the Q&A. Oh, isn't that interesting? I forget about that. Patty said, I feel like I need a boost to accept this knowledge in my being. I do have a strong cellular obstruction to proper abundance. Okay, so I don't know if she wrote that though before.
Yeah, she wrote
meditation.
It a while ago.
Hopefully, I'm very generous, but I have trouble attracting and accepting. So the only thing I would say in coaching for you, Patty, this is more coaching, because the energy healing we did hopefully will really help you with that. And remember, it just started. The healing we did just started. So it will continue to work with you. But cancel clear on that word, I have trouble attracting and accepting, and replace it with, I'm working on attracting and accepting. I'm becoming better at attracting and accepting. Like a slight alteration, right? You're just shifting your truth on that. I'm getting better at it. I'm working on it. I'm, shifting that for the better for myself. Attracting and accepting kind of thing. Because you're always attracting. You've just been attracting the trouble of it. Right? So now you're shifting that, Patty. All right. I hope that's helpful. And then the next person says, hi, Lori. Thank you so very much for this great webinar. You are amazing. And I am very grateful for everything you are doing for us. Thank you. And I'm also very looking forward to your tomorrow's speed activation call of 11:11. Yes, we're doing DNA activations tomorrow. That's on my 11:11 call tomorrow. If you're not on that, you can join us for that. That's on the webinar on my website under live events. What do you mean by giving 10% of what we're earning has to be giving as a gift and no donation? Thank you very much. I love you, Therese. I know you, Therese. I love you too. Well, what I mean by that, you can do donations. It's just that what people often think is, well, I donate to a charity. And they confuse that with tithing. So a tithe it can be giving to a charity. I give to charities too. I give to animal charities all the time. I love conscious charities that are helping animals. But I only choose, let me make my point, two things on that I just want to say. Number one, a charity is not an organization that's perpetuating illness, suffering, pain, disease, problems, whether it's if they're promoting death and suffering, if their posters are all about problems and death and suffering, if they play miserable Sarah McLachlan music about miserable, horrible conditions, that is not a tithe. And the problem is that a lot of donations and charities are built on that. That is not a tithe. A tithe is the greatness of God's work is being served here somehow. God's joy, health, happiness, love, service is working through that person, group, or organization. And I am going to support that. I am going to acknowledge that God is doing work through this person, group, or organization, and therefore I'm going to donate. Then you could call it a donation, but it's a tithe because it's the energy of joy, of happiness, of excitement, of fun, of celebration, of service, of contribution. It's not the energy of, oh my God, there's something so terrible happening. Look, these horrible animals, what's being done? Oh, the arms of an angel. Oh, this is so miserable. Like those ASPCA commercials, those are horrible to me. That is not God's work in that way. That is misery. That is perpetuating suffering. So that is not that's what I mean is the difference, right? You can give to a charity. That's okay. That can be a tithe. But the tithe is a celebration of God's amazing, fabulous, fantastic service to someone or to something. That's what I mean by a tithe. And a tithe is always is a high frequency energy. Okay. Hope that's helpful. So now I see one from Steve. Money is a tool, but if you have lots of it, you can have a better state of misery within the modes of ignorance, of oneness and unity and consciousness. And the sad thing of money comes easy to these disconnected service to self types. Yeah, I get what he's saying. Do you get that, Neil?
Yeah, I do.
He's basically saying that service to self people are basically using money as it is a tool.
Right, and if you have more of it, because I mean, the studies came out like money buys happiness to a certain level, right? And then when you get over that level, because it's having your needs met. And I remember I saw Bashar 8 years ago, and somebody asked him what is abundance, and his answer was having what you need when you need to do it. It's overabundance is not the same abundance. It's just like the flow of energy constantly moving through you.
Right. Having what you need when you need to do it. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, we have to use it is a tool. It's true. It's another form of what we can do things with. And Kathy said, "Thank you so much, Lori. Looking forward to the speed activations call tomorrow." Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, so I think that was our questions, right?
Yep, that's it right there. So,
all right, well, awesome.
Yep, thank you. And I want to just mention as well, and just add to what we were talking about, is words are very, very powerful, and they create our reality. So the way we communicate about our state of being, where we at, the amount of scarcity we might be experiencing in the moment, maybe like 10 years ago, I would have freely been like to my friends, hey, I'm broke, and now, even if I don't have the money to do something, that's not exactly the way I would explain it. I would say it in a way that doesn't create that reality for me, where I'm like open to, something coming, rather than just saying I'm broke and I'm just making my statement right now with the universe. I am like this, right?
You change the way. That's like what we were saying with Patty. You just change the languaging. Like if in the example of I'm broke, the example could be like, I am creating, I am working on this. I'm actively engaged in changing my situation for the better.
Yeah.
I'm creating new opportunities to give, receive, and exchange more abundance. Like you just change your languaging. I totally agree with you on that.
Exactly. We are conscious creators, and the more we know that, the more we implement that, the more it actually becomes more of a reality for the collective.
Yes, absolutely. So,
Lori, I appreciate you so much.
oh my God, thank you guys so much. It was so fun. I love doing that, and I'm so glad and grateful that we had this time to play together and grow together and learn together. And yeah, and don't forget that if you do want to take advantage of that sacred membership with the full class, you can go over to lorispagna.com under the membership tab, and you can use the code SACRED7, SACRED number 7. At the checkout, and you get savings of $100, I think is what it is. Yeah, it's $100 savings. So, and then we know from that for this call, because it's only being offered for this group.
Yeah, and
so,
I can actually put that in the email when I send the replay out to everyone.
Okay.
As well, just so that they have the info. So email me the code and I'll do that.
Yeah. Okay. I will. I can even type it in here too on the chat. Like, right? Can I do that?
Yeah, you can type it in.
For people, just in case they have it. It's at lorispagna.com under the membership. Right. And this is, like I said, this is only for this group. And then the code is SACRED7. Discount code at checkout. And it saves you $100.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lori. Love you.
Love you so much. See you next time.
Okay, see you later. Okay, everybody. Hope you had a good afternoon, morning if you're in Australia, evening if you're somewhere else in the world. Thank you for being with us. We'll get the replay out to you by tomorrow. If you were a part of the Weaponization of Food online conference we did yesterday, it's already done. I'm going to email that out in like an hour from now, so you can get the replay of that too. And if you haven't seen it, you can check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/portal to ascension, and it'll be up there soon. Okay, love you all very, very, very much. Thank you so much for your energy and your support. We will see you later. Bye-bye.